Hi guys, and welcome to another Elementor video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we've been putting together this little e-commerce store using the free Elementor plugin, and it's doing a great job of it. We're just using the free 2020 theme and the free Elementor version of the plugin. Last video we added a privacy policy page. Let's now add a contact form for our site, and we'll use another free plugin called Contact Form 7. So let's go to our dashboard. Let's go down to plugins. There it is right there. And we're going to add new. I'm going to hit the add new button at the top. Let's go to the little search and type in contact form 7. And there it is. There's our Contact Form 7 plugin. I'm going to hit the install now. Like I say, it's absolutely free. And let's go ahead and activate it. Great. Once activated, you'll see a contact button in your menu on the dashboard here. I'm going to go ahead and open that in a new tab. And by default, they've put a little contact form in for you. We'll start with this one. It's a great place to start. So I'm going to hit the edit button. Now that doesn't look like a whole lot, but it's actually everything you need. You've got a label that says your name. Then you've got a text field. There's a text field right there to put your name in. You've got another label that says your email, and then you've got a field to put your email in, which is right there. Then we've got another label that says subject, and that's another text field right there that you can put the subject in. Then you've got another label that says your message and a text area. Now text area is right there, which is a large paragraph type area to put whatever your question is. If you want to add something else, like perhaps a telephone, we can go down to where we want it. Let's put it after email. Just go down and put your cursor where you actually want to put this thing, and you can add it by doing that. Now what I'm going to do, where it says class attribute, I'm just going to give this a class of form, FRM, because we'll be styling it in a minute with a bit of CSS, and don't let that worry you. I'll give you any code that I write here. And here you can also decide whether it's required or not. When I have a telephone number field, I don't usually require it because some people just don't like to put in their telephone number. So let's insert the tag when you're happy. And you can see it's got a class of form on the end. Now I'm going to copy this class because I want it to apply to all of our labels here. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it after your name. And I'm going to put it after your email. And I'm going to put it after your subject and also your message. So they've all got the same class there. So if I want to make one field a certain color, it'll affect all the fields as well. Great. So let's just save this and let's actually put it into a page. So now that's been saved, you've got a shortcode just up the top here. If you left click on it, it'll highlight it. Just simply copy it, Control C, or right click and copy. Now let's go up and let's create a new page. And funnily enough, we'll call this contact. And I want to build it with the Elementor. So I want to go over to our page attributes. If it's not open, just hit the little chevron there so it opens up. And we want to use the Elementor full width so we can use the full width of the screen. Now I'm going to hit the edit with Elementor button. And here it is, we've got our Elementor panel. First thing I want to do, we created a title for most of the pages on our site, a little header. So I'm going to put that in, and to do that I'm going to go to my file, because we saved it as a template, so it's in my templates. And that's it right there. I'm going to select it and insert it. If you're not sure, always hit no import document settings, because you can export these and use them in different sites, and if you hit yes, it'll overwrite the styles of whatever site you're on. So for caution, hit no. For this particular case, it doesn't matter because it's come from the same site. And as you can see, that's put that header section and a little sales section in down below. We can get rid of that section, and let's just rename this to contact. Or contact us, or whatever it is you'd like to say with your form. Okay, so now we need to put our actual form in. So let's go to our matrix up here. And what I'll use is a little text block. Just drop it in there. And I'm going to put my shortcode that we just copied in there. Control V to paste it in there. Now you might not see the form show up on the back end here, but it will on the front end. So let's just publish that. Let's take a look at the front end with a little eyeball icon just next to the update button. And there it is. There's our form. And it's sort of using the generic colors and generic styles. That's absolutely fine, actually. You've got your name, your email, you've got your telephone. I probably need to give that a label so people know it's for the telephone number, subject, and message. So let's just update our form a minute. We'll go back to our form. And where we put in our telephone number, which was right here, I just need to put in a label that says telephone. So I'm going to copy the label from below, put it on that, give it a bit of space, just to keep it organized there, and we'll say telephone. Now we'll save our changes. And go back to our contact form, and we don't need to do anything because it's pulling it from the same form, so it should just update it when we refresh. There we go, we've now got telephone in there and it's not required. Fantastic. Okay, well you can leave your form like this if you want to, or you can style it a bit, so perhaps the button will hover, change color on hover, and perhaps our fields will have a different background color. Now to do that, I'm using Google Chrome here. If I just right click and inspect one, here it is, it's an input field and it's got the actual class of form, FRM. So I can write a background color for the FRM by simply going in here. And let's say EEE, which is a sort of light grey. And as you can see, that changes the background colour, which is a pretty standard form colour, and it's pretty good looking. Then I can go through and write this, and anything with, as long as I put it under FRM, it'll have that background colour. So that should cover all of our fields here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy that bit of code, because in the Chrome Inspector here, I'm just copying the background and the color. When we refresh, this is non-destructive, so it'll just go back to how it was. To make that permanent, I need to go in and write it into our theme customizer custom CSS. So let's go back to our dashboard. We'll go down to appearance, we'll go to customize, go down to additional CSS, and here's some we've already written for the WooCommerce, and I gave you this CSS before. What I'll do is I'll go down, I'll give it a title so it's easier to find. So that's // and in between is where you write your title. So I just write contact form. Now if I go down below and write the class name, which is FRM, because it's a class it has to have a period, FRM, then open and close some curly brackets, and then we'll paste in that bit of code that I just copied, which is background EEE. Now let's save our changes, publish, and we'll have a look at our form. We may have to force it, so let's go back to our form, which is right here. Now when I refresh, if that's worked, these should all turn that light grey color. Okay, and they haven't, which means I may need to force it. Only that one has. So let's go back to our customizer, and I'm going to put the word exclamation important after it and publish that. Now that's going to force it. I don't like to use that unless I have to, but it looks like we have to in this case. And now let's refresh. There we go. And now all our fields have taken on that color. So let's style our button for a bit of fun. So let's inspect and see what the class of the button is. And if we look over here, class WPC-F7 submit is the actual class we want. So I'm going to double left click on that and copy that. And we'll change the background color of it. Let's have it red, but the brighter red, just the reds we've been using up here. For the regular background color, the color's fine. I don't want that underline under the actual writing itself. And perhaps when we hover over it, let's make it blue. And let's make it take a second to change from red to blue. So let's go back to our customizer. I'm going to go down to class, that submit, so it's period, then the class name, open and close some curly brackets, and in between, let's say background, just red. And again, we may have to add the important class. I need to spell red right, because that will not work if I don't do that. And let's copy this and say when we hover, we want it to turn blue. So I'm going to just paste that below, and after submit, the T on submit, no space, colon, then no space hover to set a hover state for it, and we'll change this to blue. Now like I said, we may have to force this, we'll see, we'll try it. If we don't have to use it, I don't want to put it in there. So let's publish. Go back to our form. We can get rid of that right now. Now, let's refresh, see if that turns bright red. No, it hasn't. It is actually turning blue, but that's the wrong red. It's slightly deeper, so we do need to use that important on there. So I'm just going to copy it from up here with the space. Control C and put it after important right there. I want it to take a second to switch between the two colors. That way you get a nice little transition gradient. So I'm going to say transition 1s for second. You can use 0.5 seconds, you can use milliseconds if you want to, however you want to do it. Let's try that now and see if that'll work. There we go, that's that brighter red color now, and it should take a second to transform to blue when I hover over it. And it's not, so we need to add the important to that too. And we'll also say text decoration none, see if we can't get rid of that underline. None. And again, we may have to force that. Let's publish that. Refresh, and there we go. Okay, the transition's not working very well, and we still got that little underline there. There we go. See, it's taking about a second now, and you get a little gradient color in between, which I think is quite nice. And that little underline that's under the send is gone too. If you want to change the send to say something like submit, just write it in the submit right here, or where it says submit, and then between the two inverted commas there, just write in whatever you want the button to say. Now, of course, by default, it's going to send the form to the admin email address. If you want to change that, we'll go in here and you can put in whatever email address you want. And the next one, messages, this is what it's going to say. Thank you, message has been sent if it's sent successfully. With failures, you've got various error messages here that'll pop up if you haven't filled it out correctly. You can change these to say anything you want. Don't have any additional settings at the moment. Everything should work as it should. And I've got a little error flag right there. It's because when I put this label in here of telephone, I didn't close out the label tag. So let's take a closing label tag right there and just put it on the end there. That should fix that. Save this. There we go, our error message is gone. Go back to our contact form. And we're good to go. That now says submit. It's doing everything we want. Of course, you can add more fields. You can make this more elaborate. And might decide to add some products below it, in case your customers would like to do some more shopping. So there we are. There's how to add a contact page using the fantastic Contact Form 7. I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. If you have, please ring the bell, give it a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.